Matty Loves Podcast. Force Awakens. Speculation. Matty Loves Podcast. Force Awakens. Speculation.
Welcome to another episode of Matty Loves Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Simone, and we are hours away from the premiere of Star Wars A Force Awakens worldwide. A few people have already seen it. Some of your critics and highfalutin types have already seen this film. If you really want to know about it, you can just go on the internet and find out all about it. However, I've been in a full-on social media blackout for the past couple days, just in preparing for A Force Awakens. I don't want anything ruined. I've had people tell me already, hey, I just happened to go on Facebook and saw this bullshit. Well, I just don't want that to happen. So I've kind of stayed away from all of the social media outlets. This episode here is to provide speculation. It's to give you, the listeners at home, an idea of what I think might be coming in A Force Awakens, what Tom thinks might be coming in A Force Awakens, and also what Nick DeCicco thinks might be on the horizon here in, like I said, just a few hours. So what I did was I got together with Tom. I basically asked him what he thought was going to happen in A Force Awakens, and I also asked Nick as well, and I too provide a little bit of or a few of my ideas into what I think might be happening. We also talk about what what we want to take away from it. So guys, just sit back and check it out. First up will be Nick DeCicco, and we're gonna find out what exactly he is looking forward to here in just a little while. I'm here with Nick DeCicco, who has joined me on all of the commentary tracks. We're just days away from Force Awakens.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. For me.
Oh, wow. That's so... Isn't it nuts, man? Isn't that crazy?
I can't believe it, man.
I know.
I just can't believe it.
It's so crazy. It really is. And, there is no overkill for me on this. Ooh. There is no overkill. I don't feel that there is any any way right now that you can give me too much Star Wars.
Just don't want it spoiled.
I just don't want it spoiled, exactly. And that was one thing that I wanted to briefly mention here is that Nick here he loves Star Wars to the point to where he wants to know a little bit more about the upcoming film.
I don't want to know everything. Like, I don't want to know what Snoke looks like until I'm in there. I don't want to know who dies. I don't want to know who lives.
Right.
I don't want to know.
And you were telling me earlier that we could go on and look at what Snoke looks like.
Everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's all on there right now. Somebody in a theater who's a projectionist who probably,
no longer
who remains nameless on the message boards on Reddit is
an asshole.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there are people who want that.
Right.
They can't live another 24 hours without seeing those things.
You know what's really funny about Star Wars is any person that ever gives me the whole, I just don't get it, and you explain it to them maybe just a tad, they don't come around, but they're always like, I mean, I understand, I guess, but
it's the perfect hero.
Yeah.
I think in the 60 Minutes interview that was there, they talk about why Star Wars was such a big success, and there was also a BBC documentary who did the same thing.
Mm.
It's such a perfect hero's story.
Yeah, it really is. So this is a part of the speculative podcast here, and branching off, I guess, a little bit, because I wanted to get your expectations for the film, much like Tom and I are discussing. What ultimately do you want out of... First off, what do you ultimately want out of A Force Awakens? Like, what do you want to walk away from? More so, not necessarily, like, emotionally, but, like, as far as the story goes, what do you want to have happen at the end of this film.
By the end of this film,
Yeah,
I want more questions than I had walking into it.
I don't know how you can't have more questions because they've done such a good job of
I want. That's what I want is more questions. That's how I felt with A New Hope when I was younger. Obviously, I could have just turned on Empire and been fine. But,
right.
With this one, I have to wait 2 years.
Right.
And we as a society have to all wait 2 years, no matter what.
And I mean, right now, it's 2 years. Who knows what's going to happen, and it might get delayed or whatever. So, so you want more questions regarding what?
Well, the First Order, more or less, like, where does Snoke really play into it? And I don't know what answers we're gonna get this time around, but to get more questions about really what happened in 30 years after Return. What are going on? What's going on with all of our band of heroes? Even C-3PO and R2-D2 are like, what happened to them? Are we gonna get a lot of that this time around? If we don't, will we get it in the form of the next movie or the comic books or something like that?
I love fan service, don't get me wrong, but I don't want them to make this film all about fan service. I don't want this film to just basically, for lack of a better term, jerk us off. I want a new story. I don't want to. Like I've said, when we were talking in the commentary tracks on the podcast, I don't want this to feel like a complete parallel to A New Hope.
Yeah.
I want this,
which I think could possibly be, a very, very similar movie to A New Hope. But I don't know if we're going to get a full parallel.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously going to be callbacks and there's going to be similar.
I feel like this film is going to be sort of like the Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Yeah. How Casino Royale really rejuvenated the Bond franchise. But, the Bond franchise needed it. Star Wars franchise doesn't necessarily need a rejuvenation because it is just timeless, and
oh yeah.
And even with, setting aside the prequel films, it doesn't need a rejuvenation, but it does need a reset, I think. And
especially with the bad taste that the prequels left in a lot of our mouths.
Yeah.
You probably listened to at home our 2 and 3 where we kind of ripped both of them apart.
Yeah.
We tried to be civil.
And I think we were actually
we did a pretty
thinking
good job
about it. Yeah, I think we were a little more, we stuck a little more on the positive side, but there's just some things you can't get around, and I think those mistakes won't be made in this film because they've already been made before. I think that J.J. Abrams had a plan for just a film.
Yeah.
Just one movie.
Yep.
Even though I don't know if they had given him the opportunity to come back to do episode 8 or not, or if it was already in the plans just to have him do this. But I think that he is the perfect choice for it.
It was great for rejuvenating.
Star Trek, God.
He did great. Star Trek, Mission Impossible, too.
And look, Star Trek had its, issues.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but that movie was pretty badass, and it was a breath of fresh air for sure. Yeah. So I have no doubt that this film's going to do that. As far as character goes, what are you expecting? We've talked a lot about Luke and Leia and Han. Those are the constants. But when we were talking briefly earlier about like Rey and Finn and Kylo Ren. So explain to me where you think all these this new core 3. I'm kind of dubbing them. Where do you see them going in this story? Where do you see Rey and Finn?
Just by the end of Force Awakens?
Yes. Where do you see Rey? Well, just in the movie. Like, where do you see Rey and Finn?
Obviously we know that Finn is a stormtrooper that leaves the First Order after witnessing something that he could not get past.
Right.
Which is very similar to the Lost Stars, which happens to another character where he leaves the stormtroopers and becomes a rebel.
Lost Stars is a novel that you're currently reading.
Yes, yeah, Lost Stars, fantastic. It's one of the Journey to the Force Awakens books, which kind of helps out. But we know he leaves, and we know that he can't handle what insanity the First Order is doing. So him and Rey, I believe, obviously are going to meet up on Jakku. Tatooine 2.
Yeah.
And they will more or less be a nice breath of fresh air.
You think they're going to be romantically involved?
Possibly. It's either going to be between Rey and Poe or Rey and Finn. Which, if they go Rey and Finn, it would be a very big deviation from two whites.
Well, absolutely, for sure. I mean, I definitely think that our love story in this movie is going to, shirk the norms that society has given us, the ideas or whatever. I feel that this film is definitely going to be a more progressive, but I secretly, I mean not secretly, I think that it would be cool to do the whole, main heroine falls in love with the super bad guy.
With Kylo.
Right.
You think Kylo and her
but
possibly...
that was what I would want, but due to just like all the bullshit, we hear and we read leading up to the movie,
that Kylo and them might be related in some
I think
sort of
Kylo
way.
and Rey are going to be related in
Now,
some
which
way.
way do you think?
I think they'll be cousins.
You'll think to be cousins.
I think
so
Rey is Luke's daughter.
Okay.
And I think Kylo Ren is Han and Leia's son.
Okay.
And it could be reversed.
Yeah.
But we don't know. What do you think?
I don't think she likes that theory. I think she wants another theory.
Well, that's the only theory I got, Lily, so... but yeah, so I think that as much as I would want to have the whole like Spike Buffy thing going on for these new Star Wars films, I don't think it's going to happen. But I don't know if Finn and Rey are going to be
romantic.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be romantic. I would lean more towards Poe, but I could also see Poe dying in this movie.
Now, do you also think that that's a possibility? But
Yeah.
he did re-sign for episode 8,
he
though.
just ruined me there, so I guess not. Furthermore, the New Order.
Yeah.
Do you think that they're just going to exist for this one film? Or do you think they're going to grow like the Empire? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that this Star Killer base that they're on is just the small base in comparison to what else they have out there?
I mean, possibly. If this could be Death Star 1. Because Death Star 2 was 460 times percent bigger. 460% bigger than the
original Death Star.
Death Star. So
but what do you mean by this is the Death Star 1?
This is the Death Star 1. This is the smaller.
Oh,
this is
right.
The trial.
Comparing it to the Death
Yeah.
Star 1. I was about to say they blew that to bits.
No, this is the trial. This is the trial to show their might to the galaxy.
I think that's the one thing that a lot of like true blue Star Wars fans, when they saw the initial poster and they saw the like Star Killer base planet or whatever, they were all kind of like, again?
Another one?
You gonna do this again? But, hey, I'm sorry, a giant planet that blows other planets up gets the job done at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty awesome scene. I mean, no matter what, it's going to be Star Wars, and it's going to be... I mean, we obviously know we're going to get a trench run. We saw that in that one...
sure.
Teaser.
For sure. And also, too, the lightsaber battle in the snow is going to be incredible. And if Finn is not Force sensitive, my prediction is that fight is not going to last very long.
No.
And if you notice, too, if you go back and watch the teasers, when Kylo Ren draws his lightsaber and then Finn, and he's coming after Finn about to swing, the look on Finn's face is pure, sheer terror.
Yeah.
So... I don't think that is just serving the, hey, there are lightsabers in this film purpose of the trailer, but that lightsaber battle will not last long at all. And honestly, I don't know if we're going to really get a super long lightsaber battle in this between two people. Honestly, I'd save that shit.
Yeah.
I'd save it.
Give us a teaser.
Show Finn fucking up some stormtroopers with this lightsaber that he found or whatever. But
Now, do you think Finn is Force sensitive? Like, truly? Or do you think it might be even Poe? Poe looks like a character that could be the new Luke.
Poe looks like he could be the new Luke. One thing that I've just really found interesting out of all the footage that we've seen in the teasers is when Kylo Ren is doing the whole Jean Grey to his brain. You know, clearly Poe's been captured. At what point in the film does that happen, though?
Yeah.
You know, if it happens in the beginning.
Towards the end.
Or does it happen? If it happens towards the end, I would lean more towards, you know, bad things happening to Poe. And maybe Poe might not be the same Poe in the second film. Because you know one of these characters is going to be altered physically. It always happens.
Yeah.
Someone is going to be altered in some physical manner. Whether they're going to get their hand, arm cut off, frozen in carbonite, you know, something. You know, I feel that out of this core three, one of those three are going to be coming away from this film with some sort of damage.
Yeah, whether
physically.
Yeah, and you really think it's going to be physical, not mental either. You don't think...
the mental damage could come when Poe gets, you know,
messed up.
Yeah, when he gets messed up by Kylo Ren, that could happen there. But you know, another thing too is I don't know the relationship between Poe and Finn.
Yeah, we don't know that yet.
We just see that scene where they like cross each other on like the airstrip
on the
kinda,
shoulder.
Yeah, kind of like or Poe gives him like the shoulder pat. So maybe initially, you know, Poe might be like, you're a spy, stormtrooper, whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck you,
Yeah.
you know. But really, you know, he earns his respect or whatever. And that's what that scene kind of shows me there. I don't know. That's why we're speculating here.
It's speculation.
We're going to feel so stupid a week from now anyway.
This could be anything. And so what do you think about Han Solo? Do you think Han Solo and Leia have been together the whole time? Do you think that Han Solo is somewhere different? Separated?
Yeah, I think Han and Leia have been together the whole time.
Yeah? I don't think so. I think that something happened, and it feels like when we see that first initial Chewie, we're home.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's specifically
they show Han and Leia hugging each other.
Yeah, but that's towards the end, though.
Yeah.
What it
the
looks
teaser,
like.
right?
The end of the teaser. But I mean, it looks like the big battle on that Fortesty planet, which I believe is from the other trailer where we see the flags is the pirate planet, Maz's planet.
Right. Yeah.
So I really think that they've been separated
somehow
for a little while. For some reason, something happened. And here's the ultimate question. What do you think about Luke?
Yeah, where's Luke?
Where the hell is Luke?
Well, my thing on Luke is, what's the planet where the Jedi train? It's that one planet, that green planet, the Jedi train, that moon. You should know this.
I should know this
because I know of the place, but I can't name it off the top of my head. Anyway, Luke is there.
Insert planet name here.
Mm-hmm.
You think Luke's there?
I think Luke is there.
You think Luke is the new Yoda?
I think Luke is going to be the new Yoda. And we were in talking earlier, I kind of have a feeling that if anybody bites it, it's going to be Luke, because he's going to be the Obi-Wan Force Ghost in the next two films.
I don't think so. I
just want to see Luke kick ass with a lightsaber one more time. We all do. We want to see him just roll one more time.
Green.
Baseball swinging.
Do you think we're going to see a green lightsaber in this?
Oh, for sure. That's Luke's lightsaber.
But do you think he's going to actually whip it out?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to whip it out. I hope he whips it out. We all want to see Luke whip it out. Yeah, and it just extends like long, you know?
Super long.
Really long, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we'll see the hilt. I think that's my best guess is we'll see the hilt, but I don't think we're going to see it turn on.
I just hope that they don't clone Darth Vader.
Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like such a terrible idea.
I just really hope they don't clone him, because that would just... I mean, the only way that a Vader return... That's my biggest fear, by the way, in these movies, is for them to bring Vader back.
Yeah.
My biggest fear of a Vader return comes from them going back in, Lucas going back in and putting Anakin at the end of Jedi as a Force Ghost. But he didn't go back in and refilm scenes with him in the Vader suit older with Luke. If they would have reshot those scenes and had Hayden Christensen in the Vader costume, then maybe it might make a little sense, and I'd be like, okay. But then you look back on it and you think, well, originally that wasn't Hayden Christensen in the Vader costume; it was just some dude.
Yeah,
you know. And so, it would be a mess if they bring Vader back. It really, really
I think it would convolute it, but I mean, at the same time, it really depends on how they do it. Because if they do it, they've got to do it right.
How?
I don't know. But if Hayden Christensen comes back, I think I would give up on Star Wars. Like, if he comes back for a major role. If he comes back for a minor role.
For a Force Ghost role?
Maybe
that's fine.
Maybe
Force Ghost is fine. That's what I'm thinking. But why would he have to train to be a Force Ghost? You know? And apparently
maybe
that's
he's just bullshit. Maybe he's just trying to get,
Maybe it's just all full of shit. Yeah. Maybe it's just complete bullshit. Even though, like, everybody reported it, though.
Yeah. It is true.
So... who knows?
Well, let's stick to Force Awakens because with this one we know he's not in.
Yes, yeah, we definitely know that there is no Hayden Christensen. But going back to the Force Ghost, I hope we do get a Force Ghost in this film.
In this one,
or like a Force Ghost Yoda or something. That would be
Yoda
cool.
would be awesome.
That would be neat. That would be
just
neat.
Like, yo, what up, bro? I'm here.
And that would be like,
you know what?
That could be with Luke. He could be with Luke. Yep.
Like, what are you doing, dude? I told you not to do this.
Yeah,
what are you
exactly.
doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Maybe Yoda's the one that comes and sees him and is like, hey, man, there's shit that's about to go down again, and you need to help the universe one last time.
Now, do you think that the plant, that the tree, the Force tree...
The Force tree, Poe's Force tree from Shattered Empire.
Force tree yes. and Luke's Force tree. Do you think that they make a cameo in this, even if they're not really mentioned? Do you think that from the comic... I mean, that was a really specific thing to do
in the
comic book about.
Yeah.
And the last scene is Poe's mom and dad planting that Force tree.
Yeah. Yeah, now, real quick, elaborate on what a Force tree is for those that are unfamiliar.
The Force tree...
Because they're not in the movies.
I actually looked it up. Apparently, they were from the Jedi Temple on Coruscant.
Okay.
They had them in there. And they also had them growing on that planet.
Yes.
The green planet.
Yes.
And that's where they took the plants from originally and brought them to Coruscant in the Jedi Temple. So the major things that kind of they're big conduits for the Force. So it's something to help extend your Jedi abilities. It's something for you to train by. If you train near, it will help you. It will help you focus as well.
Ossus? Does that sound right? Is the planet? Ossus? That doesn't
sound.
It doesn't
right,
ring like what I was thinking either. But anyway, the main key in all this is the title of the film is A Force Awakens.
Yeah.
When we go back to films like Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace was Emperor Palpatine.
Right, okay. So you go to Attack of the Clones.
The Sith, actually, to be more specific.
How many times do the clones attack in the second film?
None. It's like ridiculous.
The clones don't really attack until the end of the third film once Order 66 is put into play.
Yeah.
And then you have the Revenge of the Sith, which ultimately, at the end of Episode 3... I don't know where their revenge would come from. Because Palpatine's playing both sides.
Yeah. Knows what he's doing. Yeah. The long con. I think all the way until Episode 6, too.
They should have probably just called it the long con.
Yeah.
Episode 3.
Episode 3, the longest of cons.
Yeah. Yeah, the longest of cons. But, I just hope that A Force Awakens is like one of those things to where when we first see the Force in this movie, it is projected from one of our new characters in a time of great importance. I guess before we wrap things up here with your speculations, is there anything, like I said, I don't want to see like Vader come back. Is there anything in particular that you don't want to have happen in this film or in this series? I think you said earlier that you don't want Han Solo to die.
I mean, I feel like it's inevitable for him to die. Mm-hmm. I feel like the 5-year-old boy inside myself will be very upset to see or to hear that Han Solo had passed or been killed, even if it's like a very dramatic on-screen death.
Right.
I mean, I don't think I'll feel happy about that, but that more or less I know is going to happen. So whether it's in this one, whether it's an 8 or whether it's a 9, it'll be there somewhere. I think something that I really just don't want to see happen, more or less, I don't want to see the same trilogy. I know we talked about seeing the
like
same...
a full parallel.
Yeah, I don't want to see...
The New Order strikes back.
Yeah,
in episode 8, right.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a return or a revenge as the third cap for the third set of movies. And, it's going to be... This is our generation's Star Wars. I will negate the prequels to say that was our generation's Star Wars, but this is our generation's Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, we were teenagers when episode 1 came out, and I don't think that we really fully had a grasp on everything, whereas, the guys that were, our age then, or our age now then, they understood it a whole lot better, and a lot more to the point to where they'd be like, this is total garbage. I mean, the first time I saw episode 1, I was like, that wasn't bad. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But...
This is pod racing. Right.
And then, but when you start to, like, break down story, and and I started watching movies different ways, and once
you put yourself in different characters, too, and you see how silly some things are in that movie. Midichlorians, primarily.
Yeah, I would love for them to just say that that's a preposterous idea in this film. Yeah. To just totally shit all over that. No, it's just a theory, instead of saying...
JJ said no matter what, that's not coming back in this movie.
Good, yeah. Oh, God, midichlorians. Oh. I mean, I remember as a kid hearing people groan when they first, mentioned that shit.
First showing I went to, some guy behind me went, what the hell is that?
Yeah. But by that point in time, the movie was already, I mean, that movie drags on so slow until the Battle of Naboo. It really, really does.
So what's something you hope happens? I know we talked about what's something we don't want to happen. What's something you hope happens? Majorly. Like if it doesn't happen, you're going to be kind of upset.
I want Rey, Finn, and Poe to be with Luke on the Jedi planet, looking off onto the moons, ready to start their training. End credits. That's what I want.
That's gonna be the quiet scene at the end?
That's what I want. The wipe scene at the end. How they do the classic. Everybody's together doing something, and I want it to be, paralleling that original scene when Luke's looking out on the moons in A New Hope. Figuring out, God, I gotta get out of here. Yeah. But it's them looking on to a new horizon. And
where the Force Awakens.
While the Force Awakens, right? That's ultimately what I want from this film. Now, if that's not the closing scene, big deal.
Yeah.
But I would really like it if the movie ends to where we know now we need the Jedi again, and we know now that the Jedi are starting to train again.
That's more or less what I want to happen. I want the universe as a whole, because throughout 4, 5, and 6, everyone's like, it's hokey pokey magic. It's nothing. It's not real. All of the Grand Moff Tarkin, he doesn't know. He doesn't believe
Han Solo.
Han Solo didn't believe
in it.
Now, we do see Han Solo have a change of pace.
Sure.
Of course.
Well, he witnesses the Force real. In action. He sees it.
The dark side.
Right.
The Jedi. Yeah. All of it.
It's all real.
It's there.
It's happened.
We know he realizes, but I think he is going to be our conduit for the rest of the galaxy, finally seeing that they're there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there. And of course, we never even bring it up before we wrap it up. What do you think Snoke is going to be like? We still haven't seen him. Andy Serkis' character.
I think Snoke is going to play more of a role like the Emperor did in 4, 5, and 6 without us knowing the whole backstory. I think he's going to just serve as the ultimate baddie. This is who we're getting to. This is where we're going to be. Episode 9, we're facing off with Snoke.
Do you think that Snoke possibly has met Yoda?
No, I think that Snoke, we don't know how old he is, and if Snoke, I think more so, maybe not Yoda, but I think Snoke knew Palpatine or Vader.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I think that he had...
That's why everything's kind of still there. He was driving force. Do you think? I know a lot of people were saying that he could be Plagueis. Do you think there's a possibility he could be Plagueis?
I don't like the whole, like, this is the name of the character, but he's somebody else. You know, like...
That trope?
That's stupid. Yeah. Now, you know, I mean, he dicked around with us on the whole Khan deal.
Yeah, he did.
Which is part of the reason why I still have not seen that movie.
Really?
Never saw it, because once I found out that it actually was Khan, I was like, well, this is just... What are you doing this to us for?
Yeah, he actually apologized to the group as a whole a few
because if he would have said it was Khan,
that would have been fun.
it would have made more money. You know, I mean, seriously.
Yep.
So I don't. He'll never do that again.
No.
You know, and
Secrets, yeah, but I don't think he'll hide
he's
it.
not Darth Plagueis, because Plagueis was killed by Palpatine. You know, he tells Anakin that. So
Yeah, but he is playing the long con.
So what do you think? The Emperor's still alive? Because we
No.
don't necessarily see him burn up either.
That is true, but he does fall down into the big shaft.
He's got the Force, and like I've always said, my theory with the Force is, if you don't think the Force is powerful to make you levitate, think again.
Yeah, or fly through space.
That's what I'm saying, man. That is what I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see Force flying.
Force flying.
Force
By
flying.
episode 9, you want someone to, like,
fly. Like
Matrix out of that place.
Yes. Well, I think...
I think that's good, because
yeah.
we still have to talk to Mr. Tom.
We do.
Dr.
I got Dr. Tom. Nick, thank you so much for providing your speculatory insight.
Of course.
And oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see this movie. And we'll be back to talk about what happened for sure. Tom, your expectations for Force Awakens. My expectations for Force Awakens, they're very high. I'm so excited right now that we're getting a chance to finally talk about our expectations. Now,
Yes.
I briefly spoke with Nick, and I'm...
What did Nick have to say?
Nick, honestly, I think that Nick really doesn't want... for any of the original core members of the cast to bite it, basically, in this film, so to speak. I think he wants
the
everyone
new
to stick
cast
around.
or the old
cast? Han, Leia,
Okay,
Luke.
right.
You know, he doesn't want one of those three to bite it. If any of them do, I was telling him that I think maybe Han Solo might be...
Based on what Harrison Ford has said in real life.
Yeah, but...
Because he's always been back and forth about Han.
Right, and see, I had all these ideas too, but then Nick keeps hitting me off with he signed on for episode 8. And
Did
I'm
he?
like, well, blah. Yeah,
he?
I think I'm pretty sure Harrison
But he
Ford-
could be a flashback.
Sure, Force Ghost.
He could be a Force Ghost.
See, that was another thing we were talking about is Force Ghost. That's one thing I want to see in Force Awakens. I want to see a Force Ghost Yoda.
Oh, yeah, right?
I want to see Luke and Force Ghost Yoda, still training.
Yeah, yeah,
that
man.
would be sick.
Yeah.
So I think mainly, I mean, honestly, he was just holding the soundtrack over my head the whole entire time. He's like, "You want to hear it? Want to hear it?"
Oh, God.
Or he wasn't saying that, but in my brain, that's what the question I kept asking myself. But no, I resisted.
Okay.
I stayed away from it. But yeah, so one of my expectations is a kick-ass original new soundtrack.
Right.
And Nick says it is. He says he hasn't listened
Is
to
it John
all the songs.
Williams?
Yeah, he
Okay.
says it's sick.
Now, here's the expectation that I have that ties in with that.
Okay.
When we go to the theater in 2 days, and in just a couple hours,
Right.
What I am expecting to happen is the lights are going to go down, and everyone is going to go apeshit, and then the music is going to start. And the 7-year-old Tommy Lucas that is inside me is going to squeal. I expect chills, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I expect to be reduced to a blubbering mess.
We won't be able to hear anything at that point.
I'm gonna go. The feels are gonna go up my spine and down my arms, and I am just going to be transported back to 1977, 7-year-old Tom Lucas sitting in the theater, not knowing what he is about to witness is going to change his life forever. It's going to be a part of his life for every day after.
Think about all the 7-year-old kids that are going to go through that.
I know. Every 7-year-old parents, you got a 7-year-old kid, man, you take them to that movie.
Oh, yeah.
You take them to that movie.
As many times as they want to go. Take them.
I went 14 times in 1977.
That's BA.
Yeah, because every birthday party went, and I went to a lot of birthday parties that year.
Yeah.
And there was no VCRs, there's no DVD, there's no BitTorrent.
Yeah.
Right? If you wanted to see a movie again, you went to the theater and you saw it. So, number one, I'm expecting feels.
Yes.
Major feels.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, every time an old core character pops up on the screen, when Luke, the first scene with Luke, dude, I'm gonna fall into pieces.
Yeah.
I should bring Velcro to the theater with me, dude, because I am the second I see BA Luke, Jedi Master Luke, New Order Luke,
New Order, Luke. Wait, what?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
Wait, you know what I mean.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, is this another one of your speculations?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, but at the end of Jedi, where he's like, I'm going to go restore the Jedi Order, what does he call it? New Order fell out of my mouth, but of course we know that that's the Stormtrooper.
What, the Old
unit
Republic?
Or whatever. Whatever, Luke basically is going to, he says he's going to bring the Jedi back,
right.
And so he's been at it for 30 years or whatever. So whoever Luke is, he's going to be, he's now Obi-Wan, he's now Yoda, he's now whatever, and he's a badass.
But
has
all of this driven him mad?
There is speculation.
Does he even want any more Jedi?
There is speculation.
Does he want Jedi? He knows what happens. He knows the story.
Yes.
He's now one with the Force. He sees it all.
Right.
Does he really want to bring this to the galaxy again? And even if he sees it happening,
right?
Because I guarantee you, man, we're not just going to jump in.
Galaxy's a big place.
We're not just going to jump in and see Luke right away. It's going to be to find. It's going to be the search for Spock. Yeah,
it's going to be build up.
They got to find him first.
Right.
Yeah. And,
so I don't know what Luke we're getting, but I just hope that he is bad to the bone
and lights up at some point.
Because here's the thing: it's like when he rolled into Jabba's lair in Return of the Jedi, he was confident warrior.
Yes.
He had skills.
Yes.
Because hey, Luke Skywalker, man, he's as powerful as dear old dad.
My dad's I know where I come from. Right.
And he has had 30 years to become whatever he's become. So what I want to see is Master Samurai, next level kind of shit.
Yeah.
I want to see, the Shaolin monks, the guy who runs the temple, the master of the dojo. That's what I want to see. What I'm hoping that he's not going to be is some crazy dude who lives under a bridge,
I think we are going to get a mix of both.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get the old hermit,
And do you think he's going to wake up?
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to wake up?
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
What is A Force Awakens about? Is it about a new band of Jedi, or is it about our ultimate hero who has lost his way?
Right. Because the movie's not about Luke, though.
Is it?
Or is it?
Right. That's the the most wonderful thing about all this. Now, people, you can go on the internet right now and read all about it without seeing it, because it's all there now. I personally am not. We were talking about this earlier. You don't give a shit about spoilers, but you haven't
I haven't tried.
Right, exactly.
I haven't tried.
Exactly.
And, here's the thing. It's like expectation, speculation, whatever. The purpose of this film, is it to introduce us to a new, younger core of characters and pass the torch to them? Like that one Star Trek movie where they had Kirk and Picard, and it was the official
Generations.
Yes.
Yes.
It was the official torch passing with regards to the films.
Right.
Next Generation had been on TV for a while,
Sure.
and it was Star Trek.
Yes.
But we needed to pay homage to
Right.
the Shat Man, and there was the torch passing. So is this film going to be, okay? We are going to bring back, the Leia and Han and Chewbacca and all that because everyone knows that they are Star Wars.
Yes.
And we are going to help ease your transition into our younger set of characters.
That was an excellent way of putting it.
Okay.
That is an excellent, because that is what is going to happen,
Yeah.
Tom. That's
Right.
what we're getting.
Right.
We're going to get the transition. Nick told me earlier, think about this. Here in 3 years, we will have 12 total Star Wars films.
That's nuts. Right?
It's crazy. And what I was going to say earlier, when we first started here, there's no film in the history of cinema that does what Star Wars does. Nothing.
Right.
There's nothing.
No, you're true. It is.
It's original, 100% movie original.
Uh-huh.
It came from a movie. It started with the movie.
Right.
One movie.
Mm-hmm.
And all these other properties either start with books or stuff like that, but this is in itself, self-made, so to speak.
And it worked its way into global culture.
4 generations.
4 generations. There's no one on the planet that can identify Darth Vader in a lineup.
Right, yeah. This is, outside
everyone knows Star Wars. It's life.
Right.
It's transcended the story.
Right.
It's as real as anything real in our world is.
In comparison, I sometimes compare, the shit that we like to sports or whatever, which is a faux pas for a lot of geeks.
Yeah.
But,
it's okay
Star
to
Wars
like
is the New York Yankees.
Uh-huh.
Star Wars is, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, who on the planet doesn't know that team?
Right, exactly.
Even if you never have watched a football game in your life, you know who the Dallas Cowboys are.
Star
You
Wars,
might not know that Cincinnati has a team.
Right, and honestly, you line 10 people up, they all know what Star Wars is.
Everybody knows the name Luke Skywalker. Everyone.
And probably 8 out of those 10 people are going to be like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Some of us just like to find out about everything,
Yes.
And
Right.
that's the beauty of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch it for what it is just sit-down date night movie.
Yeah.
Or you could go on the internet and
Right.
read about all the races and the planets and everything.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. The lore, and we're in a point too where Disney acquired Star Wars, and of course they cleaned up the continuity. They've made decisions on what is canon and what is not canon and all that. And the thing is that for those people that have been Star Wars fans for a long time, and the extended universe is a part of their experience, the books, the comics, all that other stuff, to them it's still a part of the story.
Yeah.
Now if you're a screenwriter, it's not.
No, right.
You can't make references to these things. There are characters and places that you can't use and things like that. But for the fans, it's all good.
Love. It's all love,
It's-
man.
yeah.
That's the main thing. It's like, why would, people ask all the time, well, why would anyone want to just sit and make up all of this shit,
Right.
to add to the canon? Because they love it so much.
Yeah,
man,
well, that's the thing is Star Wars means something different to everyone. Who loves it. Mm-hmm. It's hero's journey. It's universal truths. And I think I shared this on another show. My stepmother was a social worker in Detroit for 33 years. There's a lawyer who worked in the courthouse who is a public defender who in 1978 or 79 legally changed his name to Luke Skywalker. You can Google this. This is a legit thing.
That's wild.
He's a Michigan public defender. Or some kind of public lawyer or whatever. He's been walking around the courthouse in Wayne County, Michigan, for the last 30 years or whatever, as Luke Skywalker. They page Luke Skywalker to courtrooms, okay? You cannot, and thank God, you can't escape Star Wars.
Yes.
And even though I'm seeing Dodge Ram commercials with Star Wars music, or I'm at Walgreens today, and there's a makeup display, and it has a light and a dark side makeup for girls or
Get outta
whatever.
here.
Yeah. No, one was the droid look, and it was all like C-3PO gold or whatever,
Right.
and the other one was the chrome something or whatever, like a Captain Phasma or whatever deal. So anyway, it's everywhere, and you know what? It's not bothering me.
No, and yeah,
It's
you
not.
can't overkill. There's
It's
like
not.
no limit. That's
It's not.
for me. There's no limit. Now I know that there's got to be some people that are like,
Oh.
enough.
Oh, yes,
you know?
absolutely.
But they don't get it. You know, they didn't
They
have
don't
Star
get it.
Wars affect them. In
Star
the same
Wars
way.
is joy, you know, and here's the thing: is when Phantom Menace came out, you know, I remember saying to my friends, you know, I don't get this. You know, all your principal actors are still alive. Why didn't we go to, you know, episode 7?
right.
While Mark was still fresh.
Right.
And Harrison was still fresh. And Leah was, you know, I love Carrie Fisher.
Yeah,
you
me
know?
too.
I love her as a person, all her nonfiction autobiographical stuff. She's had a hell of a ride, but she has just a kick-ass attitude when it comes to life. You know, she's so down to earth and cool. You know, you had all the principal cast hanging out, and they go and do Phantom Menace, you know. And I always thought that the more logical move was to do 7, 8, 9 while everybody was still young.
Well, hey,
For
look,
whatever
at least we're
reason.
getting 7. You know,
Yeah.
at least we're getting 7.
And we're going to get the torch is going to be passed, and I am prepared to love the new characters. I really am. I'm prepared to love the new villain, Kylo,
yeah, Phasma,
right? Phasma.
Snoke.
Right? I love the actual actors who have been cast. Adam Driver, Kylo. I don't like the show Girls, but he's a great actor. I've seen him in other things. And, you know, I love Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones. I love that woman.
Right.
She's so cool. And she's going to be one badass stormtrooper, man.
And then Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaacs, is Apocalypse in the new X-Men
he's a
movie.
Florida boy. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
He went to high school in the school district I used to teach
Wow.
in. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, he's a Florida boy. He he was in Inside Llewellyn Davis or whatever, where he played a folk artist.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really prepared to. One of my expectations is that I'm going to love these characters.
Yeah.
And what's the black dude's name?
Finn. John Boyega.
Finn. And what I've seen in the trailers, he seems really likable.
Yes, and another thing that'll make you like him even more if you haven't seen it already is look up his reaction to the first time he sees the first teaser.
Oh, yeah?
His friend tapes him. He I don't think he knows it. And his friend kind of walks around as he's watching it, you know, for the first time. And his reaction to everything going on, you can see it in his eyes. He knows what's coming. He obviously, but he knows it's good, you know.
Yeah.
He knows as a fan. And when he lights up the lightsaber, you know, it's the last scene of that trailer. I mean, he jumps out of his seat.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
oh my God, I'm
Right.
a Jedi, you know.
Yeah, and that's how Mark Hamill was. You know, I gained a lot of newfound respect for Mark Hamill listening to those interviews with Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't realize how much of a real deal he really was. When he was on the set of Star Wars, he was coming in his pants every day.
Right.
You know? He was. He was so happy to be there.
Uh-huh.
He's a nerd. He's a geek. He's not a pretender. He's not a regular actor dude who fell into a role and has been faking it.
He's a thespian.
He's a nerd about the theater. He's a nerd about film history. He's a nerd about comic books, and he's a nerd about science fiction.
Yep.
And he's the real deal, man. Mark Hamill is the best friend that I don't have.
Yeah, and he's also, put on this earth to play that role. If there's ever an actor for any movie,
Oh my God, right?
Mark Hamill was made to play Luke Skywalker and to be the person that he was before that, to get that role and to do everything that he's done after that. It's
there
just
could
amazing.
be no other Luke.
We share a birthday.
Ever. You know, maybe there's an alternate universe where somebody else played Luke Skywalker, and I bet Star Wars sucked.
Probably.
Yeah. You know, I bet it did not become what it did. You're right, man. He fits like a glove. Who could be Han Solo other than Harrison Ford? Who?
Yeah.
You know, really, I just can't. I can't see it.
None of these characters. Who could be any of these characters other than the people that played them?
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those
So,
things. It's
yeah.
perfection, man. It really
Now,
is.
I don't expect this film to be perfect. I don't expect it to be the greatest movie that I've ever seen.
No.
You know?
Think of it. It's the 7th part in the series.
Yes.
When has that ever been the best?
Exactly. However, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies are, they're enjoyable. They're a different vibe than the other Paramount Star Trek stuff over the years. There's something that's not there. That, there's an element, and I can't put my finger on it. However, I do feel that J.J. Abrams is more of a Star Wars guy anyway.
Sure.
And everything seems to be hitting the notes perfectly. In the trailers and in the marketing. I wasn't all that impressed with the toys that came out, but that's not really on
Star
him.
Trek has never been about the toys anyway.
Right.
It's funny you say that. Me and Nick were talking about that, and I feel that JJ and all the mistakes that he made with not just the Star Wars 1 or Star Trek 1 and 2, the new ones that he did, but also in the marketing. The promotion of the films, the biggest mistake he made with the second Star Trek film was the fact that he kept saying that Khan...
It wasn't Khan.
And it was. Yeah. And I told Nick, I've still yet to see that movie because he did that.
Well, and the thing is, too, is for a lot of people, Star Trek II Wrath of Khan is their favorite of the Star Trek.
That's the Empire.
Yeah.
That's the Empire of the Star Trek
it
films.
is. And because it's amazing on so many levels. And I don't think that they should have even really tried to deal with Khan.
No.
They really should not have done that. They could have gone... There's so much lore in Star Trek that they could have gone anywhere. They could have brought back all kinds of things that have never been revisited.
Right.
But...
Botany Bay?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You're so good with the voices, bro. You're so good with the voices. Did you ever watch Babylon 5? I never did.
I watched a little bit of it, but that was only because it was on the Sci-Fi Channel early in the mornings before
school. Because that's JMS.
Yes.
And I've always wanted to watch it, but you can't stream it anywhere.
I know.
It's not available anywhere.
You've been talking about hardcore fans.
Yeah, and the thing is there are people that are like, Babylon 5 is right up there with Star Trek and Star Wars. So we're going to go in the theater Friday night. I expect to be filled with chills and warm and fuzzies. And I might even get misty at some point.
I hope I do.
Yeah.
Drive me to tears, JJ.
I'm open
cry.
to it.
Right.
And tears of joy.
For sure.
Like when you're watching Stand By Me.
Oh yeah.
I defy you. You have a heart of cold blackness if you don't at least get misty and Stand By Me.
Or Rudy.
Rudy, yeah, right?
That's
Rudy.
like the ultimate trigger for most dudes.
And then Brian's song, too. Brian's song, the classic.
Oh, man.
Brian's song, if you don't cry in Brian's song, you're dead inside.
Lucas.
Yeah, right?
Now we're just naming off football movies.
Yeah, Lucas. Right? Yeah, Lucas is stupid.
Yeah.
That's Corey Haim,
Charlie
right?
Sheen.
Yeah, okay, so, but anyway...
I'm glad Lucas made it on a Star Wars.
I'm expecting much better writing because George Lucas is not involved in the writing.
Well, it's Kasdan's.
Right, yeah. Empire, dude.
Right.
Did he write Jedi too? Or just Empire?
Yeah, just Empire.
Okay. Kasdan has had the chops, man. He's been a pro since day one.
Not a fan of the prequels at all.
Right.
So, folks, I would expect... to not even worry about anything mentioning the first three films.
And I'm hoping to see more practical effects, than CGI.
For sure. I want to see matte paintings, bro.
Yeah.
I want them to
How about that video I sent you, the 360, where you fly around the Imperial Cruiser?
I had seen that already.
So cool.
But I didn't know everything that you could do.
I know.
That was pretty nuts.
I was on my phone, and you can't see this because this is a podcast, but I'm like basically boogie boarding with my
and you're just looking through Jakku.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty cool.
So those are my expectations, my brother. I expect to be thrilled, and I'm totally going in this with, I will cast no judgment. I'm not coming in with an attitude. This movie has nothing to prove to me at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a great time with my friends. We got 8 strong
8
gone.
strong.
8 strong. Mike Ferraro
Smart people.
and his wife. Mike was on the show in October. We were talking John Carpenter and horror. Simone, who was just on the show, who, if you want to know about Generation Starships and Ian Banks, he's your guy. You know, there's me, there's you, there's my wife. We got a great crew going down, and we're gonna have a hell of a night, man. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
That's what it's all about, you know. That's what movies need to do, you know.
Right.
And they don't do that very often anymore. Well, you ready to talk about Star Wars for a couple more hours elsewhere?
Yeah,
That's what we're about to do.
Yes.
But anyway, folks, thank you so much for listening to our speculative podcast. We've had so much fun getting ready for Force Awakens, and it is now here. So as you listen to this, we will be on our way to go see the movie or have already seen it. Again, thank you so much for tuning in here for all of the Giant Size Annual, and Matty Loves Podcast Volume 2 starts up in January. Big things on the way. Thank you so much. For Dr. Tom Lucas, I'm Matt DeCicco, and we'll see you on the next episode of Matty Loves Podcast.
May the Force be with you.
Perfect.
Matty Loves Podcast. Force Awakens. Speculation. Matty Loves Podcast. Force Awakens. Speculation.